Welcome to today's Explainer. I'm absolutely thrilled you're joining us because today we're unpacking a truly fascinating piece of music history. We're zeroing in on a track that literally defied every expectation of its genre, Stryper's 1985 hit, Together as One. Now, if you know anything about mid-80s rock, you know it was the era of massive hair, massive guitars, and, well, massive attitudes. But Stryper, they brought something completely different to the table. And this track is a perfect case study in how a song can carry some incredibly profound dual meanings.
I mean, an 80s heavy metal band becoming a staple at Christian weddings? It sounds like a total contradiction, doesn't it? When you picture the typical heavy metal scene of that decade, the absolute last thing you'd probably imagine is a bride walking down the aisle to it. Yet, that is exactly the core paradox of the song we're breaking down today. Okay, let's dive into this and see how a band famously clad in yellow and black spandex managed to create one of the most enduring matrimonial anthems of the entire decade.
Moving to Section 1, the 1985 power ballad and why it was Stryper's anomaly.
So picture the mid-1980s. Stryper had totally built their reputation on heavy, aggressive, anthemic metal tracks. You've got hard-hitting songs like To Hell with the Devil and the title track of their '85 breakthrough album, Soldiers Under Command, just blistering guitar solos and driving rhythms, right? But then, right in the middle of that very same breakthrough album, we get Together as One. It stands out as this stark anomaly in their otherwise heavy discography. It's this beautiful, soaring power ballad that completely trades out the typical heavy metal aggression for something incredibly tender and emotionally vulnerable.
And this brilliantly illustrates exactly how Stryper separated themselves from the pack. Think about it, if you turned on any rock station playing secular 80s power ballads, the themes were almost always about fleeting passion, maybe a one-night romance, or the agonizing pain of a dramatic breakup. They treated love as this temporary, explosive feeling. But Stryper's ballad? It completely rejected those secular metal tropes. Instead, they wrote a song focused entirely on endurance, faith, and the sacred bond of marriage. It's really about a permanent alliance where two separate lives are just woven together forever.
All right, Section 2, Layer 1, looking at holy matrimony and lifelong commitment. You see, the brilliance of Together as One is that it operates beautifully on two distinct layers. Peeling back that first literal layer, we find a very universal message of lifelong romantic commitment. Let's actually look directly at the lyrics for a second. Now is the time that we stand together as one. A new light inside us will shine as bright as the sun. So here, Stryper is using this classic radiant imagery of a bright future to emphasize a crucial point. True love requires moving forward as a single entity. It's all about stepping out of your individual life and into a shared existence, illuminated by this new, unified light.
What's really cool is that the lyrics actually follow the chronological timeline of a wedding day, and then they stretch outward into the subsequent lifelong journey of a couple. This literal, unapologetic focus on a shared path is exactly why it became an incredibly popular choice for weddings among Christian rock fans back in the 1980s. And frankly, it's why it remains a popular choice even today. It gave fans a way to celebrate their faith and their commitment to one another without having to compromise on the style of music they actually love to listen to.
Which brings us to Section 3, Layer 2, Divine Unity and the song's spiritual undercurrent.
Now, as pioneers of Christian metal, Stryper rarely wrote a song that didn't have a deeper spiritual undercurrent. The title and the chorus of the song actually heavily echo specific biblical principles regarding relationships, specifically the one flesh concept. Rooted in Genesis chapter 2 and Matthew chapter 19, it's the foundational idea that when two people marry, they're no longer two separate beings, but one flesh, joined by God. Stryper took this ancient theological principle and literally wrapped it in a stadium-ready chorus, making the sacred feel entirely accessible to a massive audience. And this specific lyric unlocks that secondary meaning perfectly. Let's bring in the new and do away with the old. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the dual meaning here. On the surface, sure, it's about leaving your single life behind for marriage. But beneath that, it leans heavily into the theological concept of spiritual renewal. It's about leaving a past life of sin or isolation completely behind in order to walk an entirely new path in faith.
When you read it through that theological lens, the relationship described in the song transforms completely. Beyond just earthly marriage, the lyrics can be interpreted as a parallel to the collective body of believers, meaning the church, standing united with Christ. It really represents the ultimate divine unity. Stryper essentially crafted a dual-purpose anthem. It works perfectly as a celebration of earthly love and just as powerfully as a hymn of divine devotion.
All right, let's switch gears for Section 4, a heavy metal mix-up.
Stryper versus Death.
Okay, we absolutely have to address a very common and frankly hilarious point of confusion in metal history. Just imagine looking up the meaning of this beautiful, uplifting wedding ballad online, and suddenly you're reading about, well, something entirely different. You might find yourself staring at your screen asking, wait, what is this song really about? Because there is a massive, massive coincidence involving the song's title that you absolutely need to be aware of.
Here's the deal. If you search for the metal track Together as One, you might accidentally stumble upon the 1991 track of the exact same name by the pioneering death metal band literally named Death. So the crucial point is, do not get these two confused. While Stryper's 1985 song is an uplifting ballad about marital harmony and spiritual unity, Death's 1991 song is a dark, literal, and incredibly intense look at the physical and psychological struggles of conjoined twins. I mean, it is quite literally the polar opposite vibe. So if you're putting together a wedding playlist, please double-check which Together is One you're adding, or your reception is going to take a very unexpected turn.
Moving into our final segment, Section 5, the glam metal legacy of faith and family.
Taking a step back to look at the broader cultural impact, Stryper's track remains a landmark example of a band totally flipping the script. The 80s glam metal world was famously defined by rebellion, excess, and non-stop partying. Yet Stryper managed to maintain the incredible high-energy musicianship and the theatricality of that genre, while successfully injecting it with genuine positive messages of faith and family. They proved once and for all that you didn't have to sacrifice your heavy metal credibility just to sing about something wholesome and deeply committed.
So I want to leave you with this final, provocative thought to ponder. Can heavy metal actually be the ultimate vessel for sacred messages? Together as One suggests that music and lyrical themes can absolutely transcend the boundaries of their expected genres. A power ballad can be a prayer, a heavy metal track can be a wedding vow. It really challenges us to look way beyond the surface level of the media we consume and find the deeper harmonies hiding right there in plain sight. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep asking questions, keep looking for those deeper layers, and I'll catch you next time.